Hello, my name is Nicole Westbrook. The title of this presentation is Societal Impact, Teen Pregnancy, and the Need for Comprehensive Sex Education. I selected the topic of teen pregnancy as the foundation for my policy brief assignment in Capstone 2 during spring 2018 Session A semester. I chose teen pregnancy because it is a personal topic to me, being that I was a teen mom once upon a time. So I definitely know the challenges that young women face when they make the decision to have a child very young, and how it can impact their future. So I chose that as my particular topic. In this presentation, we'll be looking at teen pregnancy and really how to prevent that through the use or implementation of comprehensive sex education in public school system, specifically looking at the Kyrene Elementary School District located in Tempe, Arizona. In review of the literature and research on the topic of teen pregnancy, this startling statistic was found. It states that 3 out of every 10 American teenage girls will get pregnant at least one time before they reach the age of 20 years old. The consequences of teen pregnancy not only affect these teenage mothers and their children and their immediate families, and extended families at times, but society at large. This brief presentation examines how teen pregnancy, although declining in the United States, still affects a disproportionate amount of U.S. youth when compared to other industrialized nations, and uses evidence from the success of other programs to argue that comprehensive sex education could do more to prevent this issue than the abstinence-based programs that are currently being taught in school districts like Kyrene School District. As we can see from this slide, the number of births per 1,000 females aged 15 to 19 years old have been steadily declining across race and ethnicity over the last decade, dramatically. Nevertheless, over 1 million teen pregnancies occurred annually by the year 2000. And teen pregnancy really comes at a high cost to the teen as well as their babies. Although this social concern directly affects racial and ethnic minority girls between the ages of 15 to 19 years old at 1.5 to 3.5 times the rate for young white girls across the U.S., it is an issue that can be prevented. As previously mentioned, not only do teen moms themselves and their young children suffer the negative consequences of teen pregnancy and births, society at large is also affected. The United States spends billions of dollars in public costs, more than any other industrialized nation, on teen pregnancy and birth. Teen mothers are too young to have the education and career experience necessary to earn a well-paying job. Teen moms also earn less for themselves because they have a child to take care of and therefore are often unable to work more. Further, the children born to teen moms are more likely to experience health issues throughout their childhood, often due to problems developed from premature birth weights and lack of proper nutrition. All of these issues contribute negatively to government spending. While it is true that teen pregnancy rates have steadily declined in the United States since the 1950s, the United States, however, still experiences one of the highest rates of teen pregnancy amongst developed nations. Without federal legislation requiring public schools to offer education on pregnancy prevention and sexual health, less than half of all public schools in the United States offered to do so. This is really a disservice to American students in that they're not receiving access to resources, as well as knowledge that can ensure healthy sexual practices as well as healthy sexual development. Although teen pregnancy rates have declined considerably over the past decades in the United States and in most of the other 20 countries with complete statistics, the teen pregnancy rate is still highest in the United States, with 57 per 1,000 15 to 19-year-olds, followed by New Zealand at 51 per 1,000 and England and Wales at 47 per 1,000. The lowest rate was found in Switzerland at 8 per 1,000, and followed by the Netherlands, Slovenia, and Singapore, all with 14 per 1,000 each. Rates were higher than the highest rates mentioned above in some former Soviet countries with incomplete statistics, and in developing countries in sub-Saharan Africa and Latin America, for which estimates could not be made. Worth the Wait, also known as the Scott and White Wellness Program, is a sex education program that was developed for schools in Texas but has since grown to be used across Texas and other states, including the Kyrene School District in Tempe, Arizona. This curriculum, while encouraging many positive health behaviors, lacks a holistic view of sex education. Abstinence is the main focus of this program, and contraceptives are only addressed after discussing concerns of sexual behavior. In fact, this portion of the curricula is not required and instead can be removed altogether. Abstinence is stressed as the only 100% effective method to prevent unwanted pregnancies, STDs, and other emotional issues related to sexual activity. If you would like to view their website, it can be found at sw.org/wellness sexual health/4schools. Choosing the Best Life is another abstinence-centered sex education program which encourages students to explore the value of delaying sexual activity. With topics that intentionally use scare tactics, like showing horrific and unrealistic pictures of STDs, for example, this program focuses on delaying sexual activity as the only solution. Based on the resources online, the curriculum does not provide information on contraceptive use or community resources for sexual health. This program does cover the importance of healthy relationships, saying no, and how poor choices can impact your life. However, the program does not provide the entire picture for being sexually healthy. If you would like to view their website, you can find it at choosingthebest.com/life. Now let's talk about comprehensive sex education. The big picture here is that research has found that it increases delayed sexual activity and increases the use of protective measures in teens who do decide to have sex, while at the same time it decreases risky sexual behaviors. Based on the current literature, comprehensive sex education, which includes all the education included in the previously mentioned programs, in addition to education on resources, contraceptives, and other means of reducing the risks of unintended pregnancies or STDs, is more successful in reducing these outcomes when compared to abstinence-only education. They also refer to comprehensive sex education as abstinence plus sex education. Multiple studies have consistently found significant decreases in risky behaviors, as well as increases in delayed sexual activity and the use of protective measures, i.e., condoms. This style of sexual education provides the tools, resources, and knowledge needed for teens to make healthy and educated choices about sex, Providing a well-rounded education to offer all viable options is actually advocating for our youth. Of course, there are arguments against the implementation of comprehensive sex education into public schools. One being that parents should be the ones to have the conversation with their own children about the birds and the bees. But typically, arguments against sex education are fueled by fear, the fear of losing control and the fear of poor outcomes. These fears are the reason our public schools are lacking in comprehensive sex education. Parents should have the conversation with their children. I agree with that as a parent. But what if they don't? Sex education provides a safe place for students to ask an expert all of their burning questions about sex. Within this place is also someone who has the time, knowledge, and energy to respond with factual information that allows the students to make their own choices. There's also an opportunity to provide resources to parents who may not know how to get that conversation started. Another argument against comprehensive sex education is that sex education condones sex. Well, sex is a part of life, a natural and healthy part of life. And if we face the facts for a second, teens are having sex already. And that's whether or not they're receiving proper education about sex. In fact, more often than not, they're not receiving adequate comprehensive sex education. Education is not an indication of condoning behaviors. Research has shown decreases in the desire to engage in sexual activity after a teen has participated in comprehensive sex education. So this is not about encouraging teens to have sex. This is about equipping our youth with the proper tools to be successful. The age-old dilemma, to educate or not to educate about sex. It's rooted in faulty logic that more education, more knowledge, more awareness leads teens to have more sex. And there's also a part in there that I think is rooted in the idea or the notion that ignorance is bliss. And the less that young people are made aware of sex, the less they are exposed to education around sex, and the less it's talked about, the less likely it will be for them to actually go out and have sex or to get pregnant or to contract STDs. And we know that that just isn't true. The argument for abstinence-only education is often based on the misconception that teaching teens about sex will make them more likely to have sex. Many proponents of abstinence education have moral or religious arguments about sex before marriage too, so that's layered in there. But what must be considered is the difference between educating about sex versus encouraging sex. Comprehensive sex education is not meant to encourage teens towards having sex, as some opponents of it may think or believe. So, more education does not mean more sex. In fact, the research shows that students who participated in comprehensive sex education programs were actually less likely to engage in sexually risky behaviors, while students who participated in abstinence-only programs were not using contraception regularly or effectively. Being educated about sex does not lead teens to have more sex. Many teens who are educated about the consequences of sex choose to remain abstinent. And teens who are educated about sex and then make the decision to be sexually active have the knowledge to effectively use family
More
planning
education
tools
does not
available to
mean
them,
more sex.
like
In
condoms
fact, the
or
research shows
other forms
that
of birth
students who
control.
participated in
Not educating
comprehensive
teens about
sex
sexual
education
health is
programs were
actually
actually
setting
less
many teens
likely
up for
to
failure
engage
and
in
results in
sexually risky
unplanned
behaviors,
pregnancies that
and
could have
that
been prevented.
students who
The
participated in
decline in teen
abstinence-only
births
programs
in
were
recent
often
years
not
is
using
proof of the
contraception.
effectiveness of
Being
comprehensive
educated
sex
about sex does not
education.
lead teens to have more sex.
Until
Many
all
teens who
teens
are
in the
educated
U.S.
about the
have
consequences of
access
sex
to
choose to remain
comprehensive sex
abstinent,
education,
and teens who are
U.S.
educated
society will
about sex and
continue
make the
to
choice to
spend
be
billions
sexually
and
active
billions of
will have the
dollars
knowledge
on this
to
social
effectively
issue.
use family planning tools available to them, like condoms.
To see the accuracy of this claim that more education does not lead to more sex, let's look at the research. One article analyzed all available U.S. data on sex education laws, spanning 48 states, to determine which program type had greater outcomes in reducing teen pregnancy rates. It was found that states that emphasized comprehensive sex education, including abstinence, pregnancy and STD prevention, and contraception awareness, exhibited the lowest rates of teen pregnancy across the 48 states analyzed. Similarly, they reviewed 29 studies of comprehensive sex education programs, 15 of which focused on preventing both pregnancy and STDs, and found that they were also shown to reduce several sexual behaviors, including the delay of onset, a decrease in frequency, and a reduction in the number of partners. So, what does this mean? Teens who were more educated about sex were actually doing it less frequently than their uneducated peers. In conclusion, it's time that we start listening to the research instead of letting our fear dictate whether or not we educate teens about sex. Research indicates that teaching abstinence plus sex education in schools is an effective way to reduce teen pregnancy and sexually transmitted diseases. Findings also showed that while teenagers who learn comprehensive sex education do not have sex any earlier than those who were taught abstinence only sex education, they actually make safer and healthier decisions about sex and sexual partners once they do eventually decide to have sex. It is recommended that Kyrene Elementary School District implement comprehensive sex education as a part of their curriculum to ensure the healthy sexual development of all of its students. This slide and the next slide reflect a listing of all the references that were utilized in the preparation of this presentation on teen pregnancy and the need for comprehensive sex education in the Kyrene School District. Thank you very much for your time and viewing this presentation on this social issue.